Hello and welcome to Pirate Radio, guys. It's been quite a while since we've done one of these. I think the last time we were meant to do one, I kind of like just went out instead of doing one, and these guys got a bit annoyed at me. So sorry about that, guys. Of course, that was Cadus and Commander X. They're joining me as usual, and DJC is here to talk a little bit later about the TF2 Euro side of things, which has recently been set up last week. It's gone pretty well for the first couple of weeks, but we're going to talk about that a bit later. I'm actually going to start off with some of the team news. There's actually like basically two things that's happened since our last podcast that we need to talk about. The main thing is the Crackland change, which happened after their game last Thursday versus Epsilon, where they got pretty much rolled. They ended up changing one thing basically. They wanted to swap Ips to Pocket, and that moved Mini Moose off to Roma, but he's now decided to take a step back for real life instead of going to Roma, and they've brought in T-Max. So why don't we talk about that first, and we'll bring Pyrogen into it in a little bit as well. Guys, what do you think about losing Mini Moose off Pocket? Cadus, why do you go first?
I think like at first I thought it was a really bad move. Well, not a bad move, but really unlucky that I had to go that way. But I was told by someone from CC that Mini had been complaining that he had no idea what to do most of the time on certain maps. So I think he was struggling kind of to fit in the new way they were playing, because they switched how they played lately. Like in the last couple of weeks, they've been trying new things, and I think he was struggling with it. So I think it's probably a good move for the team, because I think now they can go forward how they want without like that hindrance. But I mean, player for player, Mini's a better Pocket than Ibs, and at the moment Ibs is probably a better roamer than T-Max. So it's a downgrade, but I guess it's a move for the future.
Yeah, okay. So, like, the whole point of the move is to get Ips to be inside that the combo, so he can be cooling.
Yeah.
Like, personally, I always thought that Amariba was a decent enough cooler, or he used to be, that he could be on medic and still cool for his team. Like, has something changed there? Anything you've noticed at all there, Cadus?
I don't really know. Like one of the things I always admired about CC was how they had like a really like broad depth of comms. Like they had ads like with a combo who's really vocal and controls like people really well, and on the flank they had Ips who's also really loud, I guess is the best word, but for better or worse, like everyone always knows what Ips is doing and what the flank's doing. So I thought it was really nice how they had that really good spread of comms. Like you look at other teams where the flanks like practically like a bunch of mutes. Like you have like Broder with Cookie and Tech on the flank, like with the Scout and Soldier.
Yeah.
Like it's not exactly two loud players. It's kind of the same way for us. So I thought it was really good. I thought that was one of the big advantages CC had. Like I'm pretty sure T-Max really quiet. I don't think he's spoken that much English and things like that. And Vic, I'm not really sure how he's coming along with his comms lately, but the way he always was when I played with him was he called when he was doing stuff, but he never really gave you that much notice, and it was quite hard to fit in with him. I think he's improved in that sense, but I still think it's going to be a big loss by having by not having Ips there.
Yeah, definitely. Zavi, do you have anything to add? You know, obviously you played with Ips and some of the like gathers and stuff like that, just to see how much he cools. Do you think him going into the combo is going to be a good move for them?
I think it's going to be a good move because when I watched Mini Moose play, he was always like, everything he did really well, but he always looked like he wasn't doing stuff that was in sync with the team, really. Like, he was obviously a good player and had the aim and had the DM, but he always looked like he wasn't quite doing enough for the team. It wasn't fitting together. So I think Ips is a lot more adaptable and will fit in a lot better team-wise than Mini Moose will.
All right, that's fair enough. Should we stir the controversy pot a little bit here and say the fact that CC have said that he's like dropped out for real life stuff? Like, I personally feel that maybe him being pushed to Roma makes him not want to play TF2 anymore, and he's kind of been forced out of the team. Do you guys have any like viewpoint on that? Do you think it's nothing to do with that at all?
Well, I don't know the backstory, but when I heard that Mini, like when Ips was going Pocket and Mini was going to roam, like a siren kind of went off, and it was like Mini Moose is not a fucking roamer. Like by
ever since he's played Soldier, he's been like a traditional Pocket, like Hox kind of thing. Like it'd be like if you swapped Hox to roamer.
Yeah,
all sorts of things would be going wrong.
Yeah, it's just like all his instincts are like that of a Pocket. I think he would really have struggled to play roam. So I wouldn't be surprised if that had something to do with it. But at the same time, he wasn't. I don't think he was that happy pocketing either. so he might not have been that much opposed to the change as just opposed to continuing to play in general.
All right,
Minimus
fair enough. I'm
legitimately
actually being messaged by Ips right now, him saying that they didn't actually, the roster change came after Mini decided to step back. I've now been messaged by someone else saying, cough, you're not far off. So I think there's maybe a little bit behind that story there. But should we talk about T-Mac now? Obviously, he's not really had much Prem experience at all. It's been Pyrogen, which honestly at the very beginning didn't really go very well. Like, they folded, obviously, because of different things. Should we talk about the Pyrogen fold right now? All I can see of it is they were beating Div 1 teams, they've gone into Prem and they're getting rocked, and they've just folded off the back of it. But maybe you guys can shed a bit more light on it?
I don't know. It's a weird one with Pyrogen. Well, it's not really a weird one. It's actually like the standard, like typical thing that these teams do when they get into Prem. Like right at the start of the season, when it was like Pyrogen versus the potentials to get into Prem, even though I liked Pyrogen more as a team, I really didn't want them to win because I thought they're a really promising team. They got some really good players, but they have only played in Div 2. Like they'd never played Div 1, and I don't think, with maybe the exception of some of like the old players they had from like old school French teams, I don't think any of them had ever even played like near the top of Div 1 or anything like that. So I thought it was going to be a huge jump, and they'd probably fall into this trap where kind of the expectations are risen in PCWs, and they get to matches and realize like the real deal is like a lot harder to play against, and then struggle from there. And that's basically exactly what happened. Like as far as I know, there was a lot of problems with Exxon. A lot of the players didn't like his attitude in game. Like he kind of, I think, well, this is what I've been told. I really don't know if this is true, but kind of like he felt he should be winning, and like I don't know, like he was maybe being held back like by other people's mistakes and things like that. I don't know how much truth there is in that, but that's what I was told by someone who speaks French. So, it's kind of reliable.
Okay, so do you think that going into Prem then it was a completely bad idea? Like, if they stayed in Div 1 for another season, they would still be together right now and probably would be winning Div 1, and then coming up next season when they're much more ready for it.
Yeah, exactly. Like I really hope they play Div 1. They would have won Div 1 hands down. I mean, they would have just won it. It's as simple as that. Um, and then they'd have that experience. They'd have like that better team play. And they would have had it because the thing is they weren't even PCWing Prem teams that long. It was only towards the tail end of season 13 or whatever the last season was that they started
Basically,
PCWing these teams.
when we got the playoffs to play for Prem, they started stepping up who they were
Yeah.
PCWing against.
It was a bit before then, but even still, it's the same principle. So it's like I just didn't really think they weren't ready. I said that at the beginning. I think I even said it on Pirate Radio, like this exact same thing, and that's basically what happened.
Okay, well let's bring it back round to T-Mac then. Xavi, have you seen him play much? The move for CC, is that a good one?
Well, it's obviously a good move for him because he had no team. Like,
I mean,
you
from
know.
CC's point of view, I meant, not T-Mac's point of view.
Oh right, sorry, I wasn't fully paying attention. Well, I guess if Mini Moose is leaving, I don't think there's anyone better, like anyone else maybe.
I do have a point that I'd like to raise here at this very point in the junction. I would have tried something that's a bit weird. I know people might not think this is very good, but I would have tried Buy as medic and put a Marble on pocket, left Ips on Roma. You bring in like a really, really solid medic. Maybe he whines a bit, but he's a really, really good cooler. He would bring that team, get that team really, really disciplined, and they will progress really far off the back of that. Maybe they wouldn't have wanted to play with Byte. There are characters in that team that wouldn't really get along with him. But what do you guys think about that?
If I'm like one of the more neutral personalities in that mumble, like if I'm like Sam or someone like that, I really don't want to fucking listen to Ibs and Byte going at it 2 hours a night. Like, I mean, I see what you're saying, but I really think they probably would have killed everyone's spirit. Because even though you see these clips of like Marble and Ibs like arguing like 10-year-old girls, like they are quite a close team.
They have a lot of fun outside of the arguments.
Yeah,
like they get on well out of game.
Yeah,
my point is that if they wanted to see more immediate results and possibly even do come to the next playoff season and do far better, I would have felt that would have been a better move for the team. Obviously, like playing with Byte, some of the fights that like infighting that might have gone on might not have been enjoyable at all, and going the other way, keeping your comms and keeping everything really really fun is probably a better way to do it. Especially when like TF2 is about having fun. It's not, while you're serious in game and you're still playing a video game. You're still gonna have fun with it. Like I don't really know where I'm going with this anymore, but yeah.
Don't
So
quite a
I
few
just wanted to bring that
people
up.
in
Keep going.
CC also not like Byte?
When
Actually,
they
yeah, some
were
fucking good
originally
points.
looking, yeah, when they were originally looking for a demo, I asked Admirable, "Have you guys like this is before they got Red Shock even? I think I was like, did you guys ever think about getting Byte?" And he's just like, "I don't think that'd work. That's not like that personality wouldn't blend with this team very well." I was like, "Yeah, that's fair."
I'm pretty sure like Vic and Sam have both had like massive, massive fucking confrontations with Byte before. Like I remember, I remember a mix or a pug or something. There was Sam and Flippy on one team, and they went like double NG, and it was like just a fucking fiasco, man. Like Byte just went ape shit.
Oh
Like,
god.
he just went fucking mental after the game. I can't remember what he said. I think Ads had a massive fucking go at him afterwards, though, like for being such a twat. I think that's where the
Oh
high
really?
horse comment.
Was
People,
that the night where Byte was streaming and like Zebasai messaged him and they got into an argument live on stream?
I think it might have been.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've heard the get off your high horse comment that comes out of some of the German people like Ibs, but I think that was based on that night. When it, can't remember
Alright.
though.
All right, that's fair enough. Well, let's go back to T-Mac then. Where do you think this is going to put CC in there? Coming into the playoffs now, you've got a couple more games left in the season. You're definitely going to make it to the playoffs. Where do you reckon they're going to finish now that they've changed that up?
All right, well, before Minimus left, T-Mac was their backup, and I know they played one night with him, and it was a disaster. To my knowledge, they didn't have Admirable either, so that would have contributed. They wouldn't have read that much into it, but I heard that it was like just a disaster, basically, like they lost a solo or something like that. Um,
Oh yeah, I think
Sorry,
I remember seeing
like
that. Yeah.
like Solar ain't that bad, but CC won't be happy losing to them ever, even with Mercs, I think. Um, but yeah, so I think either it could go completely tits up, and they just end up finding someone else for playoffs because there's still several weeks till they'll realistically be playing playoffs. I think it'll go tits up, and they'll maybe just talk Mini Moose into coming back to play the matches. Or if they take a really if they look forward, like they're gonna have like a month after this season finishes, and then get ready for next season because T-Mac does have a lot of potential, even if he is kind of a risky pickup at the moment. So I think if they're looking in the long run, it could work out pretty nicely for them. But short-term results, it's going to be tough.
Okay. One more thing about T-Mac. Like the only thing that I really know about him is he's like an MG monster, like Mike sort of thing. Is that right? Is he one of those sort of players?
I don't think it's quite on that level yet, but yeah, he's got really good DM. Like as a roamer, he'd be
He
one of the
hits like
stronger
the clutch
roamers.
shots.
Yeah, he'd be one of the stronger like DM roamers, but playing in English for the first time, it's a big ask. So I think he needs time.
All right, fair enough. Well, I think we've covered pretty much everything on that.
No one told the Exxon story.
Oh yeah, God, do you want to tell the Exxon story? Go for it, Cadus.
Someone else taking my voice is fading.
I don't
Well, I
remember.
don't know.
Pyrogen
Exactly.
and fucking Pokemans were playing an official, and on Snakewater, Evil Moon said something like "Way to focus me," and then Exxon got really mad at him and started typing really, really, really,
Racist.
really offensive shit in French to him
But,
during his
He's-
rollout,
Yeah.
and so
Twice,
Exxon didn't
twice
get the
during the
mid.
same rollout, he stopped to type. Like
in
it
a
was
language
like
Evil Moon
quarter
doesn't even
rollout.
fucking speak, no less.
Yeah. At the end of it, I remember distinctly like two members of Pyrogen were like, "We're sorry for Exxon's attitude." So I can't imagine that helped them because they died literally about 10 minutes after that match ended.
I was told Exxon didn't say another word in that game. Like after that little
Yeah.
French spam confrontation, I'm pretty sure I was told he didn't say a single word the rest of the game. And then they folded fucking straight after that game as well.
Oh dear. Well, maybe it was all coming to a head already. Maybe they were looking towards folding already, and they just.
I think they had. I think they decided if they lost that game, they'd fold because they lost 6-0 to QN the week before.
But I'd say they
Uh,
were. I think at this point they were like 3 or 4-0 down on a Snakewater, so it was like, when you've lost a game basically. Like they didn't seem
wow.
like they were going to turn it around.
It was that game, wasn't it, where the first map they were up 4-0.
Oh yeah,
And then they fucking lost it 5-4.
yeah. They lost like
What?
10 rounds. They were 4 rounds up in Gully Wash, and basically, over the course of the match, they lost the next 10 rounds.
Yeah, they were 4 up at one point. Then
Including a
lost
golden
5-4,
cap.
5-0. Yeah, tragic.
Oh dear. Okay.
Team killer.
Well, let's move on anyway. I think the Pyrogen stuff is so in the past that it's quite hard for us to talk about it anymore, really. The other thing about teams that I want to mention is that someone on my stream earlier said that Waters was back. I actually talked to Epsilon earlier, Numlocked and Stefan, and neither of them really knew anything about him coming back. The one thing that I've heard is he's coming back for Gamers Assembly if Epsilon do go, because Bash can't attend Gamers Assembly. So maybe that would mean that he possibly would come in full time and replace Bash again, but I don't think so. From what I've spoken to Seb, he said he's happy with the team as it is. They've not even spoken about it. I'm pretty sure it's just going to stay as it is. And to be honest, they've raped everyone. Like, has there been a close game they've had? Really?
No,
I don't think so.
not even. I think QN gave them the closest battle, and like
Yeah.
I think on Snake it was like 5-2 or something,
Fair
and
enough.
that was by far the closest game.
Yeah, it was 5-3 at the closest. Yeah.
It's quite funny really that Walters wants to, well not wants to, but Walters, who they always had to find a replacement for LANs, is now going to be the guy coming in to play the LAN as a replacement.
That is actually quite funny. That'll be like the first LAN he's attended in like 2.5 years or something, won't it? I think the last one he attended was I-39.
Yeah,
Quite a
it was
long
like
time
with
ago.
Power Gaming.
Right, so that's pretty much all the team news, unless there's anything I might have missed that people are welcome to put in chat. We've kind of been a little bit missing in the past couple of weeks, or I have anyway, other than the last week I've been around. So the next thing we want to talk about is Team Fortress TV European Division, and that is why we have DJC in here right now, here to talk about it. So why don't you go ahead, Rich, and just like say like the main thing, why you've set it up, and what you're hoping to do with it.
Mostly it was set up because European people kept asking me to set it up. Like, it was a thing that we thought about. Like, I had talked to Enigma, and he was like, "Yeah, the idea of like expanding our coverage outward is nice, but is there really like blah blah? Is there demand for it? Are people going to want it? Are we going to be able to put people together?" And then I kept getting an increasing amount of people asking me for it and wanting coverage to come from like various people. People have wanted Greg to come back to casting for a while, but he hasn't been. People have wanted to see like some of the Prem players. Like we have Zebasai and Cadis involved. Who else is involved? Apes today got his first cast in. Yeah, we're gonna have Stark in Thursday with Greg. And I know that like the cameraman, at least one of the cameramen we have, was doing his own thing. Lex, known as Lex S, was doing premium TF2, which provided some German language casts, but also covered a few other games in English. So there's been people like trying to get an alternative to Vanilla up for a while, and those people wanted it to happen, and enough people elsewise wanted to see it and watch it that eventually it was like, well, we're in a situation where we can actually get cameramen and casters and do it. So let's see how it goes, and we put together whoever we had. And our goal for it, really, like the entire point of TFTV has always been unification of the TF2 community, because we're all split up everywhere. Like, there's the ETF12 forums, there's Vanilla TF2, there's Team Fortress TV, there was NATF2, there's XTV. Everyone's just all spread out everywhere. Like, but Enigma really thinks, and I agree with him, that TFTV could become the hub of not only like American, but European and Asian and Australian. And I think it would probably be better if we were all under one place, just for ease of access, and it'd be better for promotional stuff and things like that.
Yeah, definitely. On that point, actually, it's something that I've spoken to Skyride before about quite a while ago. And actually, in fact, before TFTV website was even up, and I kind of had ideas about doing that sort of thing. Didn't really go through with it. And then when the TFTV website came up, it was kind of like everything that I thought about putting in was there. The only thing that was missing was actually getting the European guys over onto that website, so we have like the community based off that website. And like this expansion, the Euro expansion, is like one of the best ways for TFTV to bring the European community over there and just centralize everything. And like, so far, so good, I think, is what we have to say, really.
Yeah, and it's not just like we don't just want to like cast. Enigma does have plans that we're working on to get like written coverage. We already have Chaplin, like, is the only active European writer writing for Crack Clan's official site, but he's moved. I don't know if he's doing still for Vanilla, but he's doing Chaplin perspectives for TFTV. I think he's going to be asked if he'll want to do something more regular as well. I'm looking for other European writers who want to do coverage stuff occasionally. And we're trying to put together a North American writing staff so that we actually have like content coming out about all the scenes that we're actually working on. So it's not just like we're sitting here like, yeah, we really want to cast. We only want to cast. We're trying to do everything. So hopefully we'll be able to achieve that.
All right, fair enough. Well, I probably should talk about why I decided to join TFTV, as I'm part of it and used to be part of VanillaTV, so I'm one of the people that kind of swapped over. A while ago, and a long time ago, when I basically stopped doing a lot of coverage, I kind of like pulled back from VanillaTV, is when leftism left the organisation and wasn't one of the major guys up top. He always made everything far less serious inside VTV and made everything so simple as a caster for me to be able to like actually cast a game. Um, when he pulled back and decided to stop doing it, they promoted Trell, I think, at the time, and then they had Trell and Bite up there, and I kind of like pulled back a little bit off the back of that. And obviously, I still casted, and I'm quite happy to do a few casts with VTV. They're still, that's where I started casting. But off the back of that, it just became more of an effort for me to actually go and cast. So, for example, I would say a week before a game that I was available to cast, I've got myself a co-caster, I've got myself a streamer, I've sorted everything, and then like 3 days before the cast, I would have a massive ball ache trying to make sure that everything was still organised, even though I've gone around and organised everything. And then the day of the cast, it would be a massive ball ache again for me to go and organise everything. And then everyone in VTV used to complain about nothing being prepared in advance, and I've literally sorted everything for my cast a week beforehand. And it just became more and more of an effort for me to ever do anything. And I just basically decided to pull back a little bit, and that's basically why I stopped casting for VTV. And I still enjoy casting TF2. And the moment I got offered a different opportunity to cast with TFTV, with these people that I, thought about casting with before, all these Prem players that always say to me, "Oh, can I cast you?" that sort of thing. I'm always quite happy to do that sort of thing, and getting the opportunity to do it, especially with TFTV, you're centralizing everything for the TF2 community. It was basically like an opportunity I couldn't turn down, especially when people like Skyride and Comedian had put their backing into it as well, which are the two major guys in VTV. When I was there, they were the guys pushing everything. They were doing absolutely everything for the org. And when they left VTV, it kind of like drew me back even more. And yeah, that's where we are now basically, and that's where I am with TFTV. So
Yeah, like the people we got for TFTV primarily are the people who either like just weren't casting for vanilla for whatever reason, or who wanted to cast for vanilla but found their own issues that they didn't that prevented them from casting. Like you told your story, I'm sure Cadis has his reasons why he wasn't casting for vanilla if he really wants to expand upon them. But like everyone who we have at TFTV actually wants to cast. And most of them approached me before I ever approached them. There are very few who I had to explicitly talk to, like, hey, we want you to come cast for us. It was pretty much all people going, hey, can you make a TFTV Euro? I really want to cast, but I have reasons why I don't want to do it for TFTV. And I was like, yeah, we'll work on it and see what happens.
Yeah,
Cadis?
that's fair. Yeah, Cadis, why don't you go into your story about joining TFTV and stuff?
Well, I was in VTV ages ago. I think I've casted once and wrote like one match post, and then I couldn't be bothered anymore basically, and they kicked me. I didn't really get on with anyone in there. I was very like, not that I would have been the biggest contributor anyway, because I was mainly there to cast, but I'm quite busy like on evenings, like I'm either playing or not at the PC normally. So eventually they kicked me basically for not doing much. But I was discouraged from helping out with the behind the scenes stuff, like the writing and all that jazz, because I don't know, the people in there I just didn't get on with them, like for whatever reason. So it made it really like a real big chore to do something I didn't particularly enjoy to begin with.
Everything was a lot of effort.
Yeah. With TFTV though, like I hope I can actually be available to do some stuff, but like they're at least accepting of the fact that I might be busy.
Yeah, like one thing we have is that pretty much everyone involved in the casting thing is like a top Prem player. Like we have two people from Crack Clan, one from Broder, one from your awful BFF. I can remember the name. Sorry. Yeah, so it's like it's gonna be hard to work around those schedules, but we also have other people to fill in. Like, I didn't list every single name of every person we had in the announcement post about it, but like Stark is going to cast for the first time this Thursday. Commander X is willing to cast. Chaplain
Woo!
is willing to cast. Maybe we won't let Commander X cast. Ideally, maybe that's a
Oh,
bad
what?
idea.
Oh,
But like there are people around. Like
dash my hopes.
I'll be willing to cast here and there. But I've casted 700 games this season, so ideally I won't cast a ton. But like we have a lot of people who are willing to fill in the gaps for the Prem people. So hopefully we'll be able to put together content for every Prem game that we have.
That's awesome. Well, I think we pretty much covered everything there, unless people have questions in chat about it, or anybody else wants to add anything from us.
I'm just reading the chat. Skyride, what's Skyride saying? It's quite funny. About how when Ips applied, like they had like a 2-day discussion. When it was proposed, they had like a 2-day. Apparently, they had a 2-day discussion about how Ips would be awful. And then when they finally gave him a go, they put him with Scully, even though both he and Admirable wanted to try casting together. They just put him with Scully, even though like they have no fucking chemistry whatsoever. And as far as like if I was gonna cast for the first time, like with no, I don't mean this spitefully towards Scully, but I wouldn't really want to do it with him the first time because I don't know him at all. Like there's been absolutely no chemistry whatsoever. And it'll be the same for Ibsen Scully, whereas he knows Admirable very well, and Admirable's by far the best caster in the game, so it'll be a lot easier to kind of get into it with him.
Hey, I'm
So-
here.
Well,
I think one of the major things that you've touched on there is chemistry between the casters, and I think that's what TFTV is going to be majorly about. Like most of the casting duos we've seen so far are people that have chemistry together, whether played mixes together and just played in teams together or whatever. It's going to be a lot of chemistry between everybody, and everything should flow a lot more simply.
Ideally, we'll just have people who know each other and are friends. Like the first cast was me and you. Like we're friends, but we haven't casted together or anything before. It's just we put us together because we were the two people available, and then we went with Admirable and Ips because I know that Ips wanted to cast with Admirable. Plus, it's also easy if I get one Crack Clan guy. It means the other one's definitely available because they're not going to PCW without their medic, especially if there's a big game going on, which there was. And then for Thursday, it's you as the main caster, and then I was looking like, okay, well, who can I fill the second slot with? Who are people that Greg knows and is mates with? And the first person that we went with, or the first option I had in mind was Stark, because you played on a team together briefly, you're good friends, and Stark wanted to get into casting, and I don't remember who he told that he wanted to cast for TFTV, but he told someone and they told me, so I was like, yeah, that'll work, honestly.
He told me, I passed it on.
Yeah.
Yay, I'm helping.
And there was going to be a Sunday match between Pokemon and Quarantine that sounds like it's not going to happen. And I was going to put me and Zebasai for that because Zebasai and me are pretty good friends, pretty decent friends. I don't want to say good, maybe a bit of an overstatement. I like Zeb. It's more the fact that I'm a twat, really. But I was going to do that because like I'm a good lead caster and Zebasai's a really good analyst. Sorry. And like we're just trying to work on actual casting chemistry instead of just putting random people together. Like it showed today. Ips and Admirable were fantastic together, honestly.
I completely agree, and the fact that like Sky was saying it took them like 2 days to decide whether Ips would cast or not, and they were saying he wouldn't be good. His cast, so the cast today was absolutely awesome. I loved it. So
like Ips started off nervous and he fixed it within like 20 minutes, and it was really good.
Yeah. Sorry, I just got a message. There are a couple of questions I've just been sent in from an anonymous source. The first one is, are TFTV wanting to kill VanillaTV? Rich,
No.
do you want to cover that?
The answer is no. It wasn't. It's not like a thing where we're sitting here going, "Ha ha ha! VanillaTV is gonna die." Like literally, this was because people in the community wanted it to happen. I was, like, so many people came to me that I could never even recount all the names. Like the people who are in TFTV wanted TFTV to happen. There are a lot of people who talked to me like, "We really need an alternative to Vanilla. We're not enjoying their cast and the quality, and we need something different." And there were so many people that's like, well, if they want this, if there's a market for it, why don't we just give it to them? And we did.
And Team Fortress.tv kind of gave you a really easy platform to just ship out the casting thing without having to do all the legwork.
Yeah, indeed. I think it's probably worth mentioning that without TFTV's platform already being in place, that nothing like this would have happened, and VTV would have just kept on trucking.
Yeah, and the only reason that like the TFTV thing is in place is because of the ESA offer that came in at the last minute at the start of the ESA season, and we like Enigma wasn't prepared to do TFTV as a streaming site or as a casting site rather. It just came to be, and we got some really cool people involved, some talented people that got us off on the right foot. Like Lang was doing our camera, we got Decap to do some graphics. And then with Euro, like when we got to the Euro coverage, like the people who were willing to help, like Skyride's going to do, or he's either going to do or have someone he knows do graphics for us. Like, we have pretty good quality cameramen, like people who've been doing it for a while. Um, some really good casters. Like we got a good writer involved. Stuff that like if we hadn't had like high quality people at these positions, it probably wouldn't have happened.
And then the other question is the main complaint for VTV Byte and Trail's leadership, um, which is probably worth talking about. I know that Byte and Trail burnt bridges with people, a lot
Yeah.
of people.
I am not casting for Vanilla TV at this point because I have zero interest in working with Byte. Um, I was going to stay with. I'll just tell this story. I think I've told it before, but I was going to stay with Vanilla TV because I was approached by. I don't remember who exactly it was, but they were like, "Yeah, we've talked about it, and it sounds like we're going to be kicking Byte from the organization." And apparently, everyone had agreed to it, and everyone was cool with the idea. And then when it came time to actually do it, it didn't happen. And I had been talking to the Vanilla TV people about like this was before the ESE offer came in. Me and Seabear were like, maybe we should just go to Vanilla. It'd be better, unification and all that. And I was talking to Skyride and Comedian about that. And then it became that Skyride and Comedian were no longer involved because Byte came back to, I guess, reclaim his authority. And then at that point, I no longer had an interest in doing that because I don't particularly want to be involved in a working relationship with Byte. Um, so that's really what led to Team Fortress TV happening.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I know that Comedian and Skyride, some bridges were burnt between Byte and Trell, and while they left kind of quietly, I've had people message me. I've even just had a message from Comedian, which is probably worth pointing out. He literally just said to me, "If you want me to shit talk shit on Pirate Radio, I'm drunk, so you can have me." So that kind of points fingers at people. So we're not going to get him on because like we're not here to shit talk VTV. All right, we're here to talk about TFTV Euro, and I think we've pretty much covered everything we need to. Unless anyone's put anything questions in the main chat. Has anybody seen any questions in the main Pirate Radio channel?
No, everyone's just arguing with Trath.
The one thing that I did see is, Comedian is focusing on real life stuff. He's offered his services to TFTV as like a very occasional cameraman rather, and he is still going to do LAN content and some other stuff for VTV. But yeah, he's focusing on real life stuff. He doesn't want to devote all of his time to playing video games and doing camera work for 2 hours a night.
Yep, I totally understand that. He put so much time into it beforehand. Like, if I totally understand him taking a break from it. Is there anything else that anybody wants to mention? I don't feed mid to Vic. And on that note, I think we should move on to the results from the last couple of weeks. Sorry, not Cadus. Zavi, do you want to talk about the main results, or do you want me to go through them as my list is kind of confusing?
Okay, you go for it.
Okay, well, the first one is the one I spelt wrong, so you guys can have another go at me for that if you want. No? Alright, cool. Well, Pokemon actually managed to take, or Pokemon as they're actually called, managed to take one map from BFF on Snakewater. Cadus, do you remember that game? Do you want to talk about maybe what happened? I didn't manage to watch it at all.
No, I don't remember the game, but it was Snakewater, so I just put it down to that. I don't think I've won more than maybe 2 matches, or maps rather, like official maps on Snakewater since it was released. Like with TCM, we lost to Punchline when they were like considered Div 1 players still. In pretty much every like best of 3, like any game I've played that's gone to a best of 3, Snakewater was the map we dropped on it. Like, I don't know. I guess I'm main calling, so I guess it hurts us a lot on Snakewater. I don't really know. We're just fucking terrible at Snakewater. I mean, they played really well. Like, I'm not trying to just put it all down to that, but it's definitely our weak map.
Okay, I actually seem to remember we had this conversation before about Snakewater, and you saying you just haven't won it ever.
Yeah,
Like,
literally, I don't think I've ever won it. Maybe once. Even that's the other one. When I was in Yo-Yo Tech with like Tvic and Hat and the Sucker and those people, we also lost Snakewater to, again, the team that was at the bottom of Prem that everyone. This is the season where we made playoffs, so it wasn't like when Yo-Yo Tech were a Div 1 team. We were like a top Prem team, well, getting toward a top Prem team. We lost to like the bottom team that was bottom of Prem that season as well. I don't know. I just can't fucking win the map, man. Just remove it. Get it out of the map pool.
fair enough. I've managed to write Epsi destroyed Epsi. I think that was Epsi destroyed BFF. I don't actually know.
FC destroyed fucking everyone. It's probably true.
Yeah, well, we can just say which team have Epsilon not played yet? You have. So
Us.
Epsilon destroyed Broder. It must have been. It must have been that game.
And
Like,
Yeah,
I
Brody
think,
got fucking smashed.
They both
yeah,
got
like everyone
fucking
was like binging up
destroyed.
Broder before that game
Except
about
for
how
Tuet.
they would be the team to beat it. But like personally, I feel that they played Broder way too early in the season. Like it was like week 3 or week 2 or something, wasn't it? When Epsi played Broder. And if that had been like coming now, I've spec'd a few games between Broder and Epsi, and the last few games I spec'd, Broder have won one map, drawn one map, and lost 2 maps, or something along those lines against Epsilon. So it's much, much closer now than that scoreline would suggest. But obviously, an official versus PCW results is you can never really take that very, very truly. So hopefully, come playoff time, Broder might be able to step it up, but we'll have to wait and see. One of the other big results, BFF and CC drew. That was like a map apiece. Do you remember that game, Cadus?
Yeah, no. I
No?
remember that. I remember that it happened.
Okay.
Oh, we won Gully Wash. I remember it now. Yeah.
Fair
Again,
enough.
we lost Snake War.
Oh, fair enough. So maybe we could take from that you guys actually had a pretty decent result. You know, Snake Water, you just offhandedly leave you just off that map, and pretty decent. Epsilon destroyed CC. Me and DJC casted that last week, and it pretty much felt like CC weren't in it at all. And now they've made roster changes off the back of it as well. It's a bit of a strange, not a strange one. We'll have to wait and see whether those roster changes actually do take effect. But it's a couple of weeks till the playoffs. That's when we're going to see all these major matches. Broder versus BFF, worth talking about. If you didn't watch it, please go and watch it. It was earlier today. Admirable and Ips casted it, or alternatively, you can go to VTV and watch Bite and Pledge cast it. Okay. It was an absolutely amazing game. Golden Cap on Badlands. BFF just about taking it.
God, we threw
five,
that
6,
fucking round
65.
away.
Kalis did like 20k damage on Badlands or something. Something stupid.
Yeah.
14 wasn't.
I think I played good on Badlands and really bad on Granary.
I have to mention
Deep
your kill was on
analysis.
Granary, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
have to.
I mean,
How many kills did he get?
He got 8 kills.
Flawless cover up.
it wasn't. I don't think it was as bad as it sounds when you say I got 8 kills. Like I didn't play like fucking disastrously bad, but like I definitely wasn't
In the
performing.
game.
Yeah, like we haven't played Granary much, and as far as like my TF2 playing goes, it's probably the map like in the last year, like since Snakewater was about, I'd say. Like Granary's been the map that you no longer play in pickups or mixes. It's just a map that's forgotten and it's just played in the season. So as far as map playtime goes on these maps, it's been quite a long time since I played Granary properly. And like I'm main calling in Prem for the first time, pretty much like the first time with this level of a team anyway. And I think it's going to take some time just to get used to like multi-managing like the casting, the calling, as well as the playing. Like it was kind of tough on Granary today for me.
Fair enough. Can I ask you a question? Like, what were your expectations going into the game today?
I don't know. It's tough. Like the last couple of weeks have been pretty shit. Really, we've been losing to everyone. Like probably lost like 4 maps a night. Like 6 out of 8 nights, I reckon. But we played yesterday and we were like a lot better. So I thought like maybe we could do something. I don't know. I guess I was hopeful we could maybe sneak a map. Like, but that was hopeful. Like I would have been happy as long as we didn't get like the round limit, or the cap limit.
Yeah. So if you didn't get rolled, you're happy.
Yeah, I was basically satisfied as long as we made the 30 minutes. Like put on at least some kind of fucking show to watch.
Well, that's pretty good. Then you showed up for the game and played really well on Badlands for sure. And Granary ended 5-3, but it was still quite backwards and forwards. Broder kind of just pulled it together around the middle section and got a few rounds. Do you want to mention? Did you watch the game today, Zavi? I don't think you did you?
I was at work / pub.
Rich, do you want to talk about the game at all? If he's still here.
I think he's
He's
playing
gone.
a Highlander
I didn't
pickup.
even look. He's gone on Skype. I wasn't paying attention. So yeah, that's those sort of games. Do we want? We haven't talked about this for a while. Like I don't really know where all the top 4 teams stand. I know obviously Epsilon's at the top, but where do the next 3 teams stand? Cadis or Zavi? Zavi, why don't you go first? Where do you think CC, BFF, and Broder rank up? Where would you put them in second to
I
fourth
think
spot?
CC's roster changes have come too late into the season to have like any positive effects on their final result for season 13. Season 13? 14. So yeah, I think they're just going to come like clear last.
Okay.
And then with Broder and BFF, I think it can go kind of either way. I feel like Broder are more likely to be Epsi, but BFF could definitely upset Broder, depending on how like their mid kind of playoff game goes.
Okay. Kadis, where do you think like the 4 teams would rank up?
I don't know. In PCWs, Broder are second, like really easily. For me, at least. I know that they have close games with CC, and CC beat them and stuff. But that's from what I see playing against these teams. I would put Broder ahead of them. In matches, though, I don't know. So far, Broder don't really seem to show up. At least not the same way they do in PCWs. I'm not sure. Maybe if they have a similar problem to what we had last season in BFF, where we just, I don't know. We never seem to settle down in matches and just play our game. It was always how it was, and they've got a lot of the same players. I'm not saying it is that, but that's kind of it's whatever it is. It's producing a similar result in that they don't seem to be as difficult to play against in matches as they are in PCWs. Like before the Epsilon game, it was really weird. I mean, I'll hold my hands up and say I was completely wrong, but I thought Broder were going to roll Epsi, to be honest, because Epsi just seemed shambolic, to be honest, the first couple of weeks like of PCWs we played against them. And I know that PCWs aren't everything, but I can only judge based on what I see, and they were just making so many mistakes that were so like un-Epsilon. Like the
I
kind of
really
mistakes.
struggled against QN the week before as well.
Yeah, like just the first couple of weeks, like when we played them. Like Mike didn't seem that comfortable roaming. Like it took him a while to get into it. Mitzi was obviously new. Numlock wasn't playing well. Like obviously it's only PCWs, so. But yeah, but Broder just looked so strong. Like we couldn't get a fucking round off Broder the first couple of weeks. They just looked so strong.
Wow.
And then but then the night of the Epsi game, we PCW'd Broder before the match, and we had 2 mercs, one of whom was DJC. And DJC isn't awful. Like he knows what to do, but he had 150 ping. He's not the greatest DMer, like even with good ping.
And he's playing Soldier with 150 ping.
Yeah, and we beat them like 4-1, 5-1, and this was
wow.
basically. But this was before this game. We'd pretty much taken maybe 3 rounds off them in like 4 games, something like that. So it was kind of like, wow, what the fuck? Like there and then, like we all of us in BFF, like me, especially, like we thought Broder had it over Epsilon. We thought they were going to beat them pretty comfortably. But right then and there, we were like, holy fuck, Broder are going to lose really badly.
Oh my God.
And not only did Broder kind of not show up, but Epsilon they just came out of absolutely nowhere and like better than I've ever seen them, pretty much. Like from being way fucking worse than I've ever seen an Epsilon team for about 2 years, they just turned into fucking monsters. Like Mike roaming, but still fucking top damaging by like 3,000. All this kind of shit.
Numlocks as well.
Yeah, like it was outrageous, man. It was,
Stefan.
yeah, just so good, so fucking good. So I was completely wrong there. And then fucking Epsilon, they keep like posting this shit like all over everything. Like I know it's like a reference to that, but I was dead fucking wrong. But yeah, with his changes for CC, I don't know. I thought it was going to be like a toss up between Broder and CC with us kind of just trailing behind, but I don't know. I reckon we still probably will trail behind when it comes down to everything. But I think Broder will probably take CC comfortably if they show up. It's a big if though.
The one thing that I would like to talk about Broder is the lacking of a real leader inside the team for those official sort of moments. Like you can call in a PCW and it can be very generalized and the team will do everything fine. But when it comes down to an official, everything's slightly tenser. You're not quite as relaxed and your calls go maybe a little off. It just doesn't really make sense, sort of thing. And I mean, Zebasai is a decent main caller and stuff, and I've played with him when he's calling. But maybe inside those sort of like tense moments in officials, that's when it kind of gets to him, and the team kind of fall apart a little bit because of that. Would you guys agree with that for Broda?
Maybe. I don't really feel qualified to comment. Like the one time I played with Zeb when he was main calling, like in the old BFF, we did it like a couple times. Uh, he wasn't like we said Zeb your main calling. It was just we tried a few games with him as pocket here and there, and he would kind of main call when he did. But then I was always like, holy shit, like he can really call. Like he's like really really good.
Right.
Like I constantly know what he's doing. I know what I should be doing, and I think everyone else felt the same way. But I don't know when it comes to matches, I don't know. They play a really like aggressive style. They take like a lot of them like go for plays. Like Maryland will be cocky and all this kind of shit. I just think it might be a case of like in PCWs when it goes wrong, people don't give a fuck and they just keep doing what they're doing. But in matches, it's like when that kind of cause that kind of stuff will always backfire. Sometimes it's just about reacting properly and making sure it works more than it backfires. And when it backfires in matches, it's just kind of like I don't know. They just have
Do
a
you think we're
different
just
attitude.
like hesitating more and just backing out of plays they'd normally just go for it in a PCW and it'd work out because they all just kind of went for it and their
Yeah,
DM shone through? Whereas
yeah,
in an
like,
official, they're overthinking their plays and trying to make like a more cautious decision to not throw
yeah.
their life away.
Like it's quite common, I think, in these kind of teams. Like that was definitely a theme in the old BFF. Like Merlin would take his risks, and if he died, it was like, fuck it, whatever. Like we've done damage, we can go do this. But like, I don't know. When in
It,
the match, if he died, it was just like, oh fuck me, we've lost our medic, full back, fuck, 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 shitballs, kind of thing. I
yeah,
don't know if they
I've
have the same
watched
problem.
I've watched Broda PCW yesterday and today, and one of the big things that I saw in their PCWs is that after these massive engagements that end up with both teams dropping two players, sort of thing, um, Cookie and Bibbon will always basically still be on full health and just come in and wreck things. And maybe they get like that's working really well for them in PCWs, but come the actual officials, it's not working. Like especially when I've seen just the two of them left alive against like five players, and those five players are all really weak because they've like traded so much, and then Cookie and Bibbon come in and kill four of them between the two. Like maybe in actual officials, that sort of thing doesn't really ever come out like it should, like it does in PCWs, because players are more aware of it, sort of thing. Maybe even like let's talk about the game earlier. Something that actually Miralin did is that every time you guys went in and like had to force, you lost the fight, sort of thing, and there were a couple of players left alive. One person would get onto Miralin and he would back away, and then there'll be another person ninjaing, hidden away. But Mirror would basically just wait at the back for like 5, 10 more seconds until that person came out, because the person's like just waiting on timings before he comes out for Mirrorlin. Like maybe other teams are starting to do that against them in actual officials or something. Don't really know. We're kind of just prattling on here, but like they are a really good team, and I feel that they are the best opportunity to beat Epsilon, which would be awesome, you know. Um, so hopefully they tighten up a few things in their actual officials. We'll have to wait and see. Obviously, there's a game coming up on Thursday, Broda versus CC, which myself and Stark will be casting for TF2. I assume Vanilla will be covering it. I don't know. Do we want to talk about predictions for that game?
Nah.
Zavi, do you want to go for predictions?
Bro, they're going to win the game.
Okay.
What maps is it?
It is. I have it written down. Process and Granary.
3-3.
Okay, that's what I think as well. Having watched Broda, they seem really good at Granary, but not quite as good on Process. I don't know. The other game that's happening on Thursday is BFF versus Doctrinal. Zavi, what do you think? It's on Gully and Process.
BFF are going to win. Like,
Yeah, yeah. I think
short of a
Cadis,
mini catastrophe.
Cadis is the same, I assume.
What?
BFF
You're going to
versus
beat
Doctrinal.
Doctrinal.
I hope so.
Cool. Sunday the 3rd is meant to be Pokemon versus Quarantine on Gran and Process. I think that might have been wild carded. I'm not 100% sure. What do you guys predict for Pokemon versus Quarantine?
I predict a wild card.
Okay.
I think Kyla
predict-
can't play, so yeah.
Oh, if Carter can't play, then it's definitely going to be wild carded.
Why not? Yeah. I think Kyla said he couldn't play that day.
So
Okay,
let's talk the score then. Who's going to win?
Pokemon, man.
The other day I saw them PCW. Doctrino kind of destroyed them. Wait, who the fuck are we talking about?
Pokemon versus Quarantine.
Holy shit.
That was
Okay.
when Pokemon didn't have Haunterbo, like they were main
Oh yeah,
callers.
fuck me. That's a good point. Yeah, they lost their main caller, so scrap that. A bit of insight. Yeah, Pokemon gonna win. But QN actually look okay. They look
Okay.
good. What maps is it? Sorry.
Gran Process.
What map did QN take off of Doc the other day?
It was
I-
Process.
Yeah.
Process is for one I watched. Is the only one I watched before I had to leave. The
Yeah.
other day.
It's Process Granary, yeah? Sorry, I'm being very
Yeah,
slow.
yeah.
Yeah, I expect my DGB to be good, not my whatever they're called, Pokemon. I expect them to be really good on Granary because it's like the oldest of the old maps, and they have like Haunter and Darn as their soldiers.
The oldest
like,
of the old soldiers.
Yeah, like it's true though. Yeah, like
Alright.
Darn always came strong on Granary, even when people like said he's playing bad. He always seemed to come through on Granary. And I think the same can be said of Haunter, even though he's played pretty good lately. They both have, to be fair.
All right, I'm tempted to go for a draw. Yeah, I think I'm going to go for a draw with Quarantine taking Process as well, if that's the map they took against Doctrinal.
Yeah, I think it's possible because I think again they had a Merc, but I think Doctrinal beat them on it as well in that match. Like they looked a fucking mess, if I'm honest, but there was no Haunter, so you kind of let it slide.
All right. And the other game I've got written down here, which is the other game for this week, the Granary Process week, is Epsi versus BFF that's been wildcarded by Epsilon. What do you guys predict, score-wise?
They're gonna
BFF
probably
gonna
win.
lose.
And imagine it's the case.
Yep,
Oh.
I would say the same.
Poor Cadus. No.
Does anybody have anything else to add? Anybody have any questions about anything we've spoken about tonight? You're
What
welcome
about the
to-
other game?
What other game?
My DGB and Doctrinal.
I didn't realise that game was happening.
Yeah, that's what I thought we were
When's
talking about earlier. I don't know. It's week 7 though.
Week 7. Well, I'm just doing week 6 games for the moment, man. Week 7's next week.
You'd be right with that one. It's about the matter of it. I
You're
don't know.
welcome, viewers, for that being cleared up.
I don't know. I just kind of figured we probably won't do a pirate radio before week 7. So.
Okay, yeah. Let's
gonna-
do
I'm
let's
gonna-
let's
Hang
do it
on.
then. Let's do some predictions for that. I don't have the fixtures up, so if someone wants to just
I have the fixtures. Pokemon are going to play Doctrinal. The maps are Badlands and Granary. Discuss.
Gonna be close.
Pokemon 6-0.
Whoa.
Oh.
Yeah.
Cadus,
Cadus, what do you think?
I think it's gonna be 5-1 to Pokemon
Okay. Which
Oh.
map's going to Golden Cap?
Badlands.
All right. Fair enough. Go through next games, Abby.
Oh, fine. I don't want to have a prediction anyway. So the next game.
Oh,
is-
sorry. Keep it going. I thought you'd done one, but I missed it.
I'm going to go for 3-all. Doctrina, we're going to take Granary. Pokemon are going to take Badlands. The next game is CC versus Quarantine.
CC 6-0.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then BFF against Broder.
Ooh, wasn't that the game that happened tonight that we've just seen?
Yeah, it probably was. Why were you playing your Week 7 game tonight? Crazy.
I think Hat's moving house or something next week, so he
Oh,
can't
yeah, I remember
play.
that conversation from earlier. And then Epsilon are going to be playing Pyrogen to round off their difficult season.
Okay, so does that mean Epsilon have already guaranteed first? Should we have a look at the table and see where the tables are going to be? Because I haven't actually done
That was
it.
a table tab. Yeah, it looks like Epsilon have straight up won since they're 12 points fucking clear already. And they have to play Pyrogen in their final game.
Yeah. I think you need to add on points to us on Broder though, because we haven't submitted our results today.
What did you get? 3 each tonight, was it?
No, it was 4 to Broder and 2 to us. I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so Broder will be on 22, and then Broder and Epsi. So Epsi will be 8 points clear, having played the same games as Broder. So Epsilon have won.
Yeah.
First seed, regardless. Yeah.
Broder are then 24 to 15. They're 9 points clear of Crack Clan, but they would have played an extra game. Crack Clan's extra game is tomorrow versus Broder. No, they must be the week 7 game. I think Broder are pretty much guaranteed second spot
Yes,
in that. So I guess
Broder
third
would
and
have to
fourth.
lose
are
everything,
just-
and CC would have to win both games, like 6-0, 6-0.
Yeah. So it's Crack Clan and BFF for the last opportunities to try and fight out for a third or fourth. It doesn't actually matter because that's how
Well,
ETF2L playoffs
where
go. So
Really exciting is
Yeah.
when UN Doctrina and Pokemon are all on 3 points, so no one knows what's going to happen there. All of them have taken a map so far in this season out of 8 maps. So
I think it's a bit
Who's-
harsh, though, to be fair. Like, it's week 6, and I think none of them are playing. I think hardly any of them are playing top teams, like, in the last 2 weeks. They will have to play each other, mostly. Oh, actually, I lied. QN have top teams still to play. Sorry, QN, yeah. Wow.
QM play Pokemon and Cracklan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Doc-
that,
will
there's a...
You go.
Just so you know, apparently Zebaside looked at the scores. I think one of Cracklan's results hasn't been entered properly yet, so maybe they have like some more points already. So I think Broda have to win both games to guarantee a second seed. If they draw, I think it ends equal points, but he's not 100% sure. So I guess I have to wait and see for next week. Do you guys want to predict who you think is going to be last and have to play that Div 1 playoff spot then? Which team?
QN.
Team, Doctrinal or Pokemon? QN, what about you, Cadus?
Probably QN, yeah. But I don't know, actually. Who did Doc have left to play? Us and my DGB. Who else? There should be one
I
more.
think that's it, isn't it?
No, because our game with them is a wildcarded game. It's an old fixture. So they should have week 6 and week 7 still. Week 7 is my DGB, but who's week 6?
Nearly there.
Nearly
I think I
there.
already have. Oh no, ignore me completely.
Fucking hell. Oh, no, they don't actually.
About
It
2.5 seconds before I said that as well, when I realised.
They have the Pyrogen game, so that's
Yeah.
it.
Oh, I don't know if I can take that one.
Yeah, okay. So it's really going to come down to, I guess, the Pokemon Doctrinal game. Like, if one of them gets 6-0'd, QN only need to take a pull out. Assuming we beat Doctrinal, whoever if one of Pokemon or Team Doctrinal gets 6-0'd, then like they're going to be stuck on 3 points still.
Pokemon still have to play like for 2 other teams around them, so they have the most influence over what goes on.
I don't fucking know, man. I don't know.
Really up in the air. That's actually a
That's a
really
fact.
cool little battle at the bottom of the table. Worth tuning into those bottom
The battle
games.
for not last.
So yeah, we'll tune into that. I'm gonna have a guess, and I think I'm gonna have to go with Doctrinal. I think they they play with all these mixed teams. I don't think they'll be able to pull it out of the bag.
I think
Yeah.
QN are like the fucking Wigan Athletic of Prem.
Yes.
They just won't go
They
fucking
keep
down,
getting
man.
results, but no one knows how.
Yeah, they'll make it in the end.
Just so for those of you that don't watch football, Wigan Athletic are always in the bottom 3 and in the relegation battle, and then always stay up. That's the reference Cadus made. And on that note, I think we should end Pirate Radio for this evening. Thanks very much for joining us, guys.
One more thing.
Go for it.
GDK's back to TF2 and UV, so UV are going to destroy Div 1 even more than they already are.
So does that mean that UV might actually get into Prem with the UV team that's a UV?
Isn't it Russian exam season coming around again? Won't they have to
Oh,
follow?
God. The biggest opposition to Russian esports.
Yeah.
Yeah, GDK's back. Forsaken's gone to Scout. They have different soldiers, but other than that, it's closer to the original team.
They're not called Last Man Standing again. What I say
I think
again.
so. I think for some reason the Irish-Russian kind of didn't work with the org for
What?
obvious reasons.
Well, I think that's it for us for Pirate Radio then, guys. Thank you very much for joining us, and thanks to DJC for being here earlier, and Commander X and Cadus, and of course Adam for doing the streaming as per usual. I hope we enlightened you a little bit this episode. It was kind of a bit waffle, but hopefully we actually had some sort of important information to give you. I don't know. Anyway, see you later.